Hello everyone, welcome back. Dzień dobry, hello, witamy, welcome, hallo and willkommen, bonjour, because today I'm going to be the French speaker, and but we're going to speak in English. As you know, maybe for those of you who have been here, and those who haven't been there before and who will know in a second, this event is a part of a series of 3 talks in which we want to explore how is the cultural sector faring under the Trio Presidency and the 30 years of the Weimar Triangle. This is why it is absolutely multinational, because all European countries are exploring solutions to this incredible and unprecedented crisis that we have right now. And this series of online discussions focuses on sustainability and the role of cultural civil society. So we want to bring perspectives from the countries of the Weimar Triangle, Germany, France, and Poland, and also the Trio Council Presidency, Germany, Portugal, and Slovenia. And we aim to promote cultural exchange and to better understand the situation of our European neighbors and to collectively develop ideas and strategies for the future. This is what we want to discuss today. And we had already on the 28th of September, the discussion on utopian moments in the pandemic, and we were recalibrating the role of culture in society. On the 12th of October, we discussed festivals between fragility and resilience, and we discussed the future of communal experience and live culture. And today, we would like to focus on how cities bridges culture and sustainabilities. And this event series, as always, is organized by the Gehre-Horváth Foundation and funded by the Federal Government Commissioner for Culture and Media, BKM, here in Germany. In the chat, which will be also in English today, you will have also some comments and more links to videos and etc. And we can post, I think, the full program here for those of you who did not have the opportunity to see the full picture of what it actually means, what we're doing here. Maybe very shortly again, for those who do not know me, I'm AC Coppens. I'm the founder of The Catalyst, a boutique agency for innovative and creative players. We work at the intersection of digital technology on the one hand and creative content on the other hand, like film, immersive media, design, music, sound, culture, and the arts. And that's why we are here today to moderate this talk. And as I was saying before, I'm taking the French place today. I represent France in this constellation. So today we will have Maja Simoneti, the project manager for the Institute for Spatial Policies in Ljubljana, Slovenia. We will have Liliana Coutinho, public programs curator, advisor for Culturgest, Fundação, Caixa, Geral, Depósitos, sorry, in Lisbon, Portugal. We have Agnieszka Kubicka-Dzieduszycka, curator and project manager at the Wrocław Art Center in Wrocław, Poland. And we have Annekatrin Gehre-Horváth from the Office for Sustainability, Local Agenda 21, from the city of Augsburg, Germany. And the participants of the discussion, and you can already see, come from very different areas of city life, city administration, cultural institution, cultural projects, architecture. So in the discussion, we would like to discuss and learn more about the different actors and institutions of a city and how do they work together for sustainability. And of course, the main focus is as always on culture. So we want to get to know the perspective of the speakers. And before I present each of them much more thoroughly, just a very quick note on the housekeeping side of things. We have this chat I was evoking before. You can always type questions, comments, especially questions. Maybe you want to have a question for a specific speaker for later on. I will try to save a couple of minutes. You know, it's always hard, but I will try to save a couple of minutes for you so that you can also interact with our guests and experts. So maybe very quickly, because in this first round, I would like to introduce you the speakers and their context. You know, I like to do this that way. And I'm going to start with Dr. Maja Simoneti, Project Manager, Institute for Spatial Policies in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Maja is a landscape architect and urban planner. And I think you can see it from her picture in the background. You can see what she's working at. So she works as a project manager and researcher at IPOP, the Institute for Spatial Policies, which is an NGO, research group and consultancy at the same time. She's been there for 10 years now. Her main fields of interest are urban green and public space, public participation, and she advocates for collaborative management of urban green and open space, universal design, child-friendly cities, walkabilities, and healthy cities. That sounds all completely great. And she also regularly participates at engaged cultural festivals and programs. She was a member of the team which wrote Ljubljana bid for the European Capital of Culture in 2010, which was later enlarged, adopted as part of the future vision and action plan for the special development of the municipality of Ljubljana. So Maja, this is actually very interesting, and I think we understand why you've been invited to be here with us today. So you were engaged again in summer 2020, along with others, by Nevenska Kopricek to upgrade Ljubljana bid for EU Capital of Culture in the second round of national selections to add the dimension of sustainability and climate change. So how does one do that? What are these dimensions? How does this work? Tell us a little bit more to start with.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will try to be really short because it's a theme I can talk and talk and talk. But you could, I mean, talking about sustainable development, the most difficult part is, of course, the social dimension of sustainable development. So if we are talking about, you know, we have to long term, we have to look to be more environmentally conscious, but socially aware, and the economy should sort of, you know, adapt these dimensions and sort of be sustained to reach these goals. So sustainable development goals are most open, we would say, in a social dimension. So talking about social inequality, talking about the power of society is what is open. And when we were discussing, you know, sustainable development in the frame of cultural presidency, you know, the idea was, okay, we have like these 4 years, we have 4 years to prepare. Let us use them, let us use the creative power of cultural sector to bring people together, to build common language about sustainable development, about Ljubljana, how we live, which are the disparities, which are, you know, our strengths, which are our, you know, weaknesses, and how we can overcome them. So that's the larger scale. So talking in the frame of the climate change, it's again, what we are talking towards the climate change, we have the mitigation and we have adaptation. So both actually, mitigation, what we are trying to mitigate is we try to decarbonize our lifestyle, which means we have to change the social culture of production and you know, consumption. And on the other hand, we have adaptation, which is also a large part depends on how the society is able, you know, to sustain the problems, how we are going to adapt to the new kind of weather circumstances and the environment that is coming with climate change. Or I would say we put it, when we were talking about it, it is here already. It's not coming. It is here already. We are talking climate change is here, and these great challenges are in front of us. So in these 4 years, we would like to make as many as possible opportunities so that the people would come together, people from different kind of backgrounds, so professional backgrounds, interdisciplinary, from different levels of managing the city, and from different levels of civil society life. So we would do different kind of talks, walks, workshops, which would be not located in the city hall or, you know, in the central locations, but all over the city. In all the city parts, we have like 17 local communities in Ljubljana, and we decided we need to have like 7, you know, little new creative spots to talk about how we can come together, build common language of, you know, climate change, adaptation and mitigation, and of course, sort of creatively address it. And then we open the themes about, you know, urban greening, the mobility in frame of the cultural presidency, but of course also the question of mobility of everyday life, where we have to change our patterns of travel. So I hope you have this idea that the whole thing was talking about where we are, which are the challenges we are, are addressed by in the future, and how can we sort of use the creative sector to make us hospitable and us soft and comfortable communication platforms, different kind of platforms, so the different generations, different profiles of people can come together, talk together, and find the solutions together. So we build social cohesion and the social, feedback and answers together. So that was the thing we were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no, that's fantastic, Maja, because what I really take from what you're saying, the most important thing, the social part, as you have been also enhancing at the end, and the common language. I like that very much. This is wonderful. Thank you very much for this introduction from your perspective. I'm going to move on to Agnieszka Kubicka-Dzieduszycka. Oh, I'm sorry, Agnieszka, that I am not good with your name. I do my best with Polish. I promise it for the next year. I said next year I'm going to do it. And I was already introducing you, but I want to say a little bit more than just saying you're a curator and project manager at the Wrocław Art Center in Wrocław. And I just want to say that you work as a media art curator, project manager, and academic teacher also, that you have been graduating in Austrian feminist literature at the Wrocław University, and that you joined the Wrocław organization, the organizers of Poland's first media art festival, then in '94. And since then, you've been working on programming and production of all successive editions of this Biennale, the Media Art Biennale, the major forum for media art in Poland, and which is also a key international event. This is why this international perspective is also so important to us. And since launching the Wrocław Art Center in 2008, you've been co-shaping its program, running these international collaborations, and you are, of course, very involved in all these art mediation. And your curatorial contributions include also exhibitions, workshops, screenings, and this for a variety of different institutions in different countries, also from Poland to Ukraine, from Finland to Israel, Sweden, Japan, Germany. So this is great. But today, of course, we want to focus mainly on your role at the Wrocław. And maybe we start with a little video to introduce to our audience the way this is done. Can we have the video, please, Paul? Thank you. And thanks to the tech in the background, by the way.
Cyanometer, the monument to the blueness of the sky, is as the name says, it's a monument to blueness of the sky, but it's also a software that periodically collects images of the sky and saves them and creates an online archive of blueness. So we've developed like a simple, hopefully, simple visualizer that shows you today the air quality data is green. First cyanometer was actually erected one year ago, almost exactly 1 year ago, in Slovenska cesta, which is the main pedestrian street in the center of Ljubljana. The main idea of the project is basically to connect different cities to compare the data, but for me it's very interesting to compare also just the sky in real time. So what we have now, even on the website cyanometer.net, is juxtaposition of two skies, of both Wrocław sky and Ljubljana in real time. And I think why we are creating this online archive, I think this will be interesting maybe in more years to come. So like in, not just in 1 year, maybe if it stays for a longer period, we're gonna be able to see if our sky, if our atmosphere is really changing, how much is changing. That's like also one note of the project, trying to research that field.
Hello, thank you for showing this this video that is greatly bridging Ljubljana to Wrocław with Wrocław. well, indeed, it is one of the many projects at the intersection of, let's say, art, technology, and nature, or this continuum between this nature-culture continuum that we've been dealing with. It's a big theme for the media art field, since we see that technology, having entered the well, the everyday world, has become the part of nature and has heavily impacted the way we can define nature right now. So this particular project was presented at 2017 for the Media Art Biennale back then, and it's still there on the river bank of Odra, placed next to the newly built back then university library, where we actually did organize the exhibition before the books were moved into that place. And it was a great collaboration. It still is a great collaboration between the Wrocław Art Center, which is an NGO, a truly non-governmental institution which works with the great support by the city of Wrocław. However, we are independent in terms of program, with the Wrocław municipality, with the greenery, with the Department of Promotion. So due to this collaboration, we can be sure that until 2025, this piece will be maintained, will be there. So it's one of the examples, as I said, but it's a great example, which makes me kind of happy sad, I would say, because there are, let's say, three entities somehow involved in this piece. This NGO, the Wrocław Art Center or the Wrocław Foundation, the city's Department of Promotion, and theoretically also the Wrocław University, because back then we organized this edition of the Wrocław Biennale together with the Wrocław University. So I have to say, unfortunately, Wrocław Art Center is the only entity out of the three that still keeps organizing active art mediation program around this piece. So for instance, we do walks, the Ciano walks, from our venue to this wonderful piece, where we sensitize different audiences, mainly families and children, to the different shades of blue in the city, where we try to promote this idea of observing the environment, because once we are aware in which environment, and I speak of like environment in very broad sense, cultural, this environmental environment, social environment, then we can be aware of that. We can understand that, and then we can change it, because there is no change without prior knowing what has to be changed. So there has been lots of actions around this wonderful piece, and for me, maybe the best example of how well the cyanometer was and how frequently it was involved, along with the range of exhibitions and other forms of presenting contemporary media art, was the year of European Capital of Culture. Well, it was before, the year before the cyanometer was there, but I'm try to maybe gap a little bit from this project to the year 2016, where we had some extra funding and where we could really develop lots of different projects, activating not only our local community, but also communities around the city. So the plan that Maja was just talking about very much resembles me of that special project that we called Eco Expanded City, that we prepared for the European Capital of Culture. So I see a cyanometer as a chance Oh, someone is coming to the art center. I'm sorry.
This is great. We have it in real life.
Yeah. Our institution is closed today, but still.
Oh, well, you see that there are people in front of the door. Well, I take this opportunity to say, because I'm sorry if you feel like happy. I mean, no, not happy, but sad and happy, of course, at the same time. But I think, of course, we highlighted this specific project because we think it is a great way to make a bridge between Ljubljana, because the Senators are also there. And it shows also wonderfully how art can help people to be more aware of sustainability issues and also to create dialogue about the topic. So I think it was very well done and very well explained what is behind this. So thank you very much, Agnieszka. And I'm going to move now to the next example, a very local one, following the Think Global, Act Local perspective. And this one, we're going to go to Augsburg, the Augsburg municipality. But let me introduce you first, Annekatrin Gehre-Horváth, who is representing the Office for Sustainability, the local Agenda 21 of the city of Augsburg. And very interesting is that actually you're not from Augsburg, you're from Halle and Saale, but it doesn't really matter because I mean, you've been studying in Halle, political science, sociology, then you moved on with your master's program to Bavaria. What I found very interesting in your vita is your strong interest in social constructivism and the relationship between North and South. And you've been working you have a very interesting vita too, like starting to work in different stores, sustainable product from health and clothes and cosmetics and etc. And having a broad point of view on a very pragmatical thing, which I think is very important. But next to your study, you also took part in groups working for anti-racism and solidarity in city politics. In the recent past, you were the director of a cultural network which transforms vacancies in Augsburg into cultural spaces for exhibitions, concerts, and all kinds of events. And since, well, it's quite recent, December 2020, you're working for the Office for Sustainability in Augsburg, and your job is the management of the future guidelines for Augsburg, which is the sustainability concept for the whole town. And of course, you are involved in the process of civil stakeholder connected to the city of Augsburg. So you are also perfect for this panel, Annekatrin. And maybe we can have also a look at a little video before I can ask you one question. So can we have the video, please, Paul? This is great. The video says already quite a few things about these 4 areas that you have in different colors here. So you are bringing here your perspective as an active city administration, and you bring already these common language with different actors in society. When one sees these 4 areas, culture plays also an important role here, and we would like to focus on this obviously today. So tell us a little bit more about this place of culture in this role of common language and actors.
Yeah, of course. I love to speak about culture and the role of culture in all these processes. And I'm so happy that here it is not under discussion, that it is like it is. So we have culture and it is important. And so that's why it is also the fourth dimension in our concept of sustainability. It's not that old, but if there are four dimensions, it's clear that there are three others. So what do we talk about when we talk about sustainability? So we have a model with three dimensions. First one dimension is ecology. So this is our base. This is all the natural resources, all its boundaries and the rules and so on. It's the basement of our existence. This is one dimension. It's the green one. And then we have embedded in the ecology, we have the social sphere. This is the place where all our activities are placed. So this is all of our social life, our rules, our behaviors, our interactions between persons and people and between groups. And then we have the third dimension, it's also embedded in the social sphere. It's economy. And economy is seen just as a part of social life. It's not next to it. It's the place where we are, where we have all our commercial, financial, and economic actions. And it's just seen as one form of social behavior and action. But when it comes to sustainability, it's a very important one. So this is why we can't exclude economy from our thinking about the sustainability. So those three parts or dimensions is what we call a strong sustainability. They are related. There's not really a hierarchy, but they are related. They have a certain relationship to each other. And in 2014, we were thinking about adding culture. And so we did. But not only as a third dimension, culture is also our frame. It's the frame where the strong sustainability is placed. So culture for us is the place where we find out and where we discuss how we are and how we want to live together in our society, in especially Augsburg. So this is where we are arguing about this strong sustainability, about this relationship, and it's the cultural frame where we decide how we will organize our life in all those other dimensions to get closer to a sustainable life. So this is what culture means. So you can see it's a very wide definition. It's not only art, and museum and concerts and events and exhibitions. It's really like an attitude. We are trying to develop an attitude and position you can take towards sustainable development. And as you have seen all those bubbles, you have seen that we have those dimensions and they are represented in 5 guidelines each. And for culture, it means we have 5 guidelines. They are formulated as goals. And there is, for example, the image and the identity of the town, but there are also our values and the appreciation of different lifestyles. There's also diversity, and a very important point for us is participation. And of course, there is one bubble, one goal that means arts and everything that belongs to it. Yeah.
If you said culture as the framework for everything, it had to. Thank you very much, Annekatrin, for this introduction, also from your perspective. And so it seems the part of the policy of Augsburg is seeing the connections between ecologic, economic, social, and cultural sustainability. And this is also something which has been addressed in the work of Liliana Coutinho, as I was saying, public program curator and advisor for Culturgest at the Fundação Caixa, Geral, Depósitos in Lisbon. Yes, you curate this program of debates and talks at the Culturgest Foundation. You come from a very interesting perspective. You have a PhD in aesthetics and science of art from the university in Paris. On aurait pu parler en français aujourd'hui. You could have been speaking French, right? You are also a researcher at the Nova University of Lisbon, where you teach at the post-graduation in curatorial studies. And you are a researcher, a curator. You collaborated with the Teatro Municipal Maria Matos in Lisbon. You were assistant director there and curator of public programs. You've been working at Le Plateau in Paris, head of education at the Serralves Contemporary Art Museum. Okay, I could go on. So I think you have a very interesting background in terms of these cultural events, curation, and etc. What do you want to bring at the front? And we'd like to know more about how a state institution deals with sustainability issues and can act as a in a climate-friendly way. So how does it work, and which contacts does it have to have with other actors in the city? Liliana.
Hello, thank you. I can answer to this question, perhaps thinking about two big examples. The one that I'm more engaged now at Culturgest, and also the one that I was engaged some years ago, the Maria Matos, that was a city theater. So I came from this, like Annekatrin said, from this more strict field of action that it's the artistic one. Our mission is related to the contemporary art. Culturgest is an institution that works with contemporary arts. We are a team of curators that work with visual arts, music, dance, theater, performance, participation. There is also a curator on participation. But it's impossible to think now about these more specific fields without acknowledging the large field of sustainability. So it's completely connected. But artists, they really think and they really imagine also through their works about those questions. And my program in Culturgest, it has, in my program, I think about it in different layers. A layer, I can say 3 layers. A layer is connected more with the work that we have in our exhibitions or in the theater. So my work with organizing debates, it's more about bridging also the arts with other social, political, economical dimensions that the artistic project already has also at its core, but with a different language sometimes. I also collaborate a lot with universities. So we, with universities, with associations, with other organizations, also from civil society, because we are a public foundation, we are connected to a public bank, right. But we are completely independent in our program. But we think that this place, the artistic institution, it's a place where people can come and think together and imagine together. And for this, it's very important to call other players. Perhaps I can tell you about 2 very concrete examples. One that is related with this subject of sustainability and also climate change. We have, I deal with a lot of different subjects, in fact, but some of them sometimes, but we can speak about it perhaps after, but some of them they don't speak directly about climate change or about ecology, but in fact, this is such a large ecosystem that then perhaps we can develop this a little bit more, but so it's always in resonance with this large perspective of sustainability. So we think that it's very important that this subject appears regularly in our program in order to create a kind of background to be present in the public sphere in continuity. And so we have talks, we have debates that addresses this subject regularly. There is perhaps one that I can that happened in the beginning of 20, that is the Anthropocenor Campus. That was a project that was made in connection with a center of research here at Nova University also. It's a center of research for the history of science and technology. And during 1 week, we put together researchers, both international and national. It's a program that was first launched by ZKM in Berlin, Haus der Kultur. No, not ZKM.
No, ZKM is where.
Yes, sorry. This is Haus der Kultur der Welt.
HDKDW, yeah.
KW. And it was a project that we had 2 big talks in our large auditorium for large audience, speaking about this, what it is, this perspective of Anthropocene. But we had artists, we had scholars, we had people who are working every day during the week, making connections and working together, or in detail after. But perhaps another example that's from a recent past, but the past, it was in the City Theatre, Maria Matos, where we worked about the first program that I did there. It was the 3 ecologies. It's the title of the program came from an essay made by that was written by Félix Guattari. And we addressed something that was already mentioned here, that was this social dimension of ecology also. But we built a program with calling a lot of international, but a lot national and from the city. People who are working specifically, who are doing organizing travelings by bicycle, organizing workshops to recuperate things. So this was a program where we really addressed this environmental
yes,
social, and also with mental dimension, but it's more subjective dimension that is very important also in our meeting.
Yes, absolutely. So you are actually confirming what your predecessors have been saying here in this talk, which is great, obviously. I would like to move on to more action in our discussion now, more action plans, so to speak. And I would like to, you were saying something very interesting, Liliana. You were saying like, well, it's so huge and we have to break it down. So we're going to break it down, and I'm going to start with Maja. Because Maja, you are bringing the perspective of the architects. And actually, by the way, architecture is here in Berlin, in Germany, one of the 10 fields approximately of the creative industry, seen also the cultural field. So for me, the work of the architects, the urban planner are also working with culture, obviously. So it is important to us to have another perspective besides culture, which is still a way of being culture. So tell us maybe a little bit more about this and what we're going to explore together. Maybe we can have a look at this little video, which is wonderful, a full video about a project, Ulrika, that we have. And I think Paul can send the video. It's very short, but I think it brings what is placemaking and how can it help to engage people through culture into their space and homes. I actually thought the video was shorter, but it is really nice to see all the different aspects in it. It looks super participative, super young also, like lots of kids and etc. Something happening there. The music is great. So tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah. But let me start with the idea that an architect is artist, and it goes like that. We are part of the cultural sector. Of course, we are part of the cultural sector because it's creative sector. But as landscape architect, being educated like on the fringes of natural sciences, social sciences, and engineering, you are not so, I would say, having this idea that you are an artist. You are a very humble participant in this creation of our physical reality.
Yes.
I think that's the difference, between the professions, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, the Open Street short movie you have seen, this is part of our work. And the work goes towards promoting the active mobility. So we have to change the mobility habits and practices in the frame of sustainable development goals, and of course tackling the climate change issue. And we all know that it's a very difficult task for the society. So it's something we understand very well we have to do, but somehow we can't act in this manner. Nowadays everybody's talking about this, disconnection between our minds and our bodies and our, reactions. And the idea is that we are using all sorts of methods so that we can experience how very pleasant and actually also efficient is active mobility. So that's why we are doing this sort of festivals. This is a sort of small street festival, which it's used. So let us close the street, the main street. Let us bring people in the street, on the car parts of the street, so that people will see how valuable the space is. Usually, when we start to talk with people, they are not aware how much space is actually used by cars, thinking about cars driving and cars being parked, but that's our public space. We don't have like really a lot of public space, which is like in parks or squares available for everybody, but we have streets and roads. Yes. And we all have like very good access to this. So if we are able to change, the mobility structure and go towards, more pedestrian friendly and biking friendly, we actually also gain a large amount of public space, meaning we gain possibilities to come together and to, to react to, and for social cohesion and social action, which is so very needed. And what we are doing is like, doing this with these interventions.
Yes, this is what we were saying before. So this aspect of sustainability is also social sustainability. Turning back to Agnieszka, we would like to a little bit more how the VRO is actually working and how it changes to operate in a climate-friendly way, maybe. So what are your sustainability practices in your city and in also with the other institutions you are working with? Tell us a little bit, maybe one example, how that works.
Let me turn this question to the other side and tie it really to the social sphere, because when I hear about all those wonderful practices, what came through my mind was that actually the entire operation of VRO has been and still is a kind of mirror of society, of possibilities that are embedded for taking actions. So actually we started in 1989 as a private company because it was the only way for citizens to organize ourselves. So it was, also it dealt with the, let's say, given opportunities and given resources that are there, which is very much at the very core of thinking in sustainable way. So what are your resources? What are your possibilities of taking action? What are your transmission belts to policymakers. So with the years, we changed our status into a foundation, private foundation. After operating of first 20 years out of a small office, we only, we were super climate friendly. We only had this small office. So we collaborated with different actors in the city to use the spaces, also to create, let's say, ephemeral zones of free expression by occupying certain, new non-institutional spaces like, old shops, also public spaces. We have we have been working really very different locations to create those special zones where totally innovative thoughts could have been presented by artists, by theoreticians, dealing in huge extent with this very basic relationship between nature, culture, technology, art, or art included in culture. This function of an art institution as a mirror, of course, still continues. So for me at the moment, it's really super hard to think about this environmental level or dimension where, with every day there is less and less air to breathe in terms of, freedom, basic freedom,
yes,
freedom of expression, the very basic root of the social sustainability is being shaken, infringed, like the rule of law, the rule of democracy. This is what has been, heavily damaged since 2015. So, I could have think about, how could we, I don't know, have a photovoltaic installation on our roof, or
yes,
but it's
not
completely
the priority.
impossible. It's
yes.
not the priority. It's not the priority. So I envy my colleagues, and the speakers in this panel when I hear how well the issues, that the really urgent issues for us now, because when we do not implement, all these actions, when we don't change our mindset completely, when we don't change the way we consume, we live, we move, it will be, the end for the planet. So it's really urgent. Whereas here, I feel like being put backward, like, I don't know, 50 years back, to some totally hostile, ineffective format of culture, where culture is being abused for political reasons. Of course, this is not maybe the issue or the case of the city of Wrocław, because also cities in Poland are still very much independent from the national government. But, the policy to come is also to minimize the role of cities. So this is what we are afraid of. And of course, the economic factor is the easiest way, to control the freedom of organizing the civic life in the cities. So I'm kind of, really skeptical about the practical cultural role here in Poland, even if I see some good examples, done by activists, like, there is a coalition, Culture for Climate, Museums for Climate, all done by activists. But not everyone is an activist, I felt, I felt my really, important role in bringing art closer to individual viewers.
Yes, but as you do that, I mean, if we consider social sustainability as a most important part of sustainability, and if you try, you are also a kind of an architect to have also to engage into more space to think and to build democracies through the exhibitions, through culture, then indirectly you are also part of a sustainable or a more sustainable system, a system where the souls are free to think about the future and etc. So this is also very inspiring directly, but I'm very glad that you said you put my question into question. I like it. So that's totally fine. No worries. But I still would like to ask Annekatrin this time, how the cultural institutions build dialogue also with the city hall, because you have this point of view from the city, and how can we translate cultural projects dealing with sustainability in the larger sense, right, of sustainability into politics, into municipal politics? Is it possible at all to continue what Agnieszka was saying, so to speak, from your point of view here in Augsburg, or there in Augsburg? I'm in Berlin here, but yes, we are everywhere online.
That's true. Yeah, thank you for this question. It's a very interesting one, and we were questioning ourselves too. And I think the answer is already your question. It's dialogue. So we started to open up the dialogue about our concept of sustainability to the public. So we invited them all, because it would have been much more easier to take a concept from somewhere, or the SDGs maybe, but we said, but who feels committed? It's a top-down process, and we wanted to change it. We wanted to have a bottom-up process. So if we want to be more sustainable here in Augsburg, we try to give ourselves a concept. So then we feel much more committed. So we invited them all. We started with a lot of workshops with the administration, with the different departments here to develop our 4-dimension model. And this is quite easy. It's not quite easy. It requires a lot of time and communication. And at this time, it was not that easy to say culture is an important part of sustainability. So we had to fight for this too. But this is, you have your own product made by your own people. So this is how they can gain ownership. And this is a really important point when you want to work for a more sustainable society. Mm-hmm. So we connected them to our huge concept. So they are always connected with the politics here in Augsburg. It's not that we are translating projects, but we are giving them the guide.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, you talk in structure, you talk in framework. That's very interesting. We have also cultural institution here pushing the boundaries. So we see it has a lot to do with space, indeed, right? So that's really really good. I want to give the opportunity now to Liliana to tell us a little bit more about the Magic Mixes Our Blob. Can we have the video on this? I think we have a little video expert. It is in Portuguese, but there will be a translation in the chat so that we can know a little bit more about what's happening there. And Liliana is going to tell us more about this later on.
Como tão bem explica a filósofa belga Isabelle Stengers, o imaginário é uma anestesia da imaginação. Face aos desafios do presente, é urgente cultivar a imaginação e romper com os modos de pensar que nos limitam. As curtas apresentações que se seguem são uma tentativa de cartografar algumas zonas de turbulência. Em particular, quando nos embrenhamos nos solos úmidos e siliciosos, onde prosperam os cogumelos, ou nos terrenos contaminados, onde cresce a vegetação ruderal. E, claro, quando nos detemos diante dos locais surpreendentes, onde fungos, algas e às vezes cianobactérias se associam para formar líquenes. Em suma, quando nos confrontamos com parentes em que, e sobretudo com quem, não estamos habituados a pensar. Parentes que fomos ensinados a menosprezar como vidas menores, mas que face ao capitalismo industrial e à desordem ecológica se revelam para nós companheiros exemplares.
I said I wanted to learn Polish. I'm learning Turkish right now also, but I mean, I should learn Portuguese. It is such a beautiful language. And thank you to Lucas Cech, who is also here in this chat with us and who has been translating for us. So thank you so much. This is really great. So Liliana, tell us, what is this? How to make sense out of this?
Yes. So this is a very short part of 4 videos and of a larger program that somehow it was prompted by this pandemic situation that we lived, that we are still living. But it was, it started from an invitation to Teresa Castro. Teresa Castro is an art historian, and she is specialist in cinema and, different, but mostly art, experimental cinema. And the last year she's working a lot with cartography, but also about the representations, also ecological representations in cinema. And she goes to the beginning of the cinema until now, so it's really a large scope. So the plan in 2019 it was to organize in 2020 a talk with Teresa about the ecological reason. The idea, how can we foster an ecological reason? So it's not only about sensing, it's not about only, and the art, it's really not only about this aesthesis, but how can we, from that, and how cinema as also a popular art form can also be a kind of vehicle, a way also of fostering this ecological reason. This was the first plan, but then everyone was in lockdown, so we decided not to stop, but we needed, as an institution, to reinvent ourselves and to really, the title of this debate, reconstructions in times of pandemics, somehow it really applies to what we lived. So we created a larger program because we thought that this talk was very important that it happened in the auditorium, so we just postponed it because the relationship with the images, with cinema was very important, and also this presential dimension was very important. But we thought this is a very important issue to be dealt also. So we created like 2 other moments that happened online. One, it was a conversation between me, a short conversation between me and Teresa, where we spoke about this idea of being a lichen. How can we think ourselves as humans? Of course, we will not be lichens, but what happens when we take this perspective that it's not human-centered, but it's more in the perspective of this, what she's saying in this video, these minor life forms, these forms that somehow we don't see. Yes. Of course, it has a cultural also implication because in this large debate, we need really also to see other forms of culture, of way of doing societies. And so this is a kind of metaphor.
Yes, and that's a very nice metaphor, absolutely.
Yes.
And we notice again, it has to do with dimensions and space and different ways and perspective to look at things from different positions, right?
In those videos, sometimes we feel that we are in a kind of outer space, but it's completely our space and the smaller.
Yes, it does sound like this. That's a very good example. I think it is very inspiring actually to show all the movement here around these different action plans you have been setting and examples that we have had here. I would like to move to our third part of the discussion now about like bridging this all. And I would like to ask maybe first Agnieszka, I wanted to ask you, because talking about bridging things, culture, sustainability, cities, and bring it all together. You are actually working, Agnieszka, with technological art, with media art. And I'm thinking also of you, Liliana. You're working on Index 22, the Biennale of Art and Technology in Braga. So I would like to ask you two first, maybe like, what do you think about digitization? Is it an answer to sustainability? Will it help? Agnieszka, would you like to start?
Yeah, let me start. Well, yes and no, because the word smart, often used in relation to technology and other spheres of social life, often is used as a kind of label and describes situations that are not smart at all, but rather situations in which users are confronted with kind of nicely looking black boxes, you know, with nice interfaces, whereas the let's say the rules of these black boxes are not known. So the real sustainability when it comes to technology, to the digital change that we are undergoing now, one of the biggest changes in the history of mankind would be to make it possible to be aware of you know, what is the code, who is responsible for the code, what data sets are being used to train artificial intelligence, in order not to transform biases and bad habits that we know from, you know, our analog life into, let's say, very complicated structures that rule the entire digital sphere. So that's a very important point and very also a challenge for you know, legal actions that need to be taken immediately. But when it comes to art making and culture making, of course, especially during the pandemic times and the lockdowns, we saw that this digital sphere was the only sphere in which we could somehow collaborate and be together. So also some of my projects were very much involved in this or impacted by this lockdown. So for instance, since over a year, I work with two Finnish artists on the project that, you know, we wanted just to have these short-term residencies to meet, to have this initial impact of energy. Instead, you know, we are developing a nice work to be premiered in Audi in 2 weeks and in Wrocław within the Media Art Biennale titled Reverso this year in Wrocław. But I'm not sure, you know, what is the impact of this project. All the Zoom sessions, they generate lots of carbon footprint. So wouldn't it be, you know, better to go once to Helsinki, to have, you know, this totally analog exchange between like living human beings, you know, to get inspired, to see the artworks in the actual locations. You know, I don't know, I'm very skeptical here, but there is no other way, probably.
So maybe it is only for a transition phase, so to speak. Liliana, would you like to add something on this as you are working also into these spheres?
Yes, I think Agnieszka already said a lot of things that are very important also to me, mostly this question of this risk of transferring the bias to the technology. This is a real risk, and the technology can somehow block also. So, and these are, for me, it's very important. And I think that art can also be a place where we think about it, and this. When I speak about artists, I don't speak only about artists. It's really also a large domain. Because I think we need, as citizens, I think that we need to be very aware of these very quick technical solutions. Of course, for us, it was very important in this lockdown period. Even I learned a lot with this meeting. It's very good that we can do it. But we need to also do a step away and to think we really want to transfer everything to this digital realm, what is lost of embodied encounters, of the creativity of the coffee breaks, for instance. So all of these dimensions. And there is also another thing that has to do also with this carbon footprint dimension, that it's there is now and this is a question that we dealt with here in Portugal and also in this region of Braga. It's something that is very present. That is, when we speak about digitalization, we speak a lot about lithium, and we speak also about rare minerals.
Yes.
And this industry, it's also an extractivist industry, and you really need to think about it. Why we are still working in this model of extractivism when we are speaking about going digital in order to be more to work more
sustainability.
Yes,
absolutely. I was listening to a French radio to bring the French perspective today. I was thinking this morning, I think 2 days ago, as France was announcing, the president of France was announcing to consider that nuclear energy is a very good way to be able to provide with the necessity power. We are going to have a huge increase of power needs in the next year, and that France, as a nuclear energy country, as you know, is thinking like, oh, we cannot renounce to nuclear energy, and we have to actually boost it in a different way with no, etc. And I don't want to engage into this discussion, but just to tell you the incredible impact and boomerang effect that it can have. Like, oh yeah, we do not need to travel anymore. We're on Zoom, bang. And maybe where do you get all this power from, right? But I want to give the word also to Maja, because Maja, I would like to know, you being as an architect, what are the new techniques and possibilities that have been also open to cities with digitization? And you are in a very a participative way to society through your projects and etc. So how do you do this with digitization in cities as an architect?
Yeah, of course, it's a huge new area, and there are so many options. And of course, in the pandemic time, now everybody started to work in digitalized technologies, even the ones who were still a bit hesitating maybe before. We were sort of, pushed to it, and it was necessary. So you would have so many digital platforms where you can combine GIS data, so, geographically informed spatial data with people, with their reactions, with their opinions, with their new data bringing in. And I think that everybody is using this kind of platforms. There are open code ones you can, use for free, and there are ones more advanced you can buy. And I think that's the most important part of this communication and the benefit of digital era is the fact that you can combine spatial informed data with people, with the community or the internet. So, but you always have to have in mind what also Agnieszka was talking about, and Liliana too. So you don't want to miss the people who are not able to participate this way. And I'm not talking at all about the old ones who are not, interested in it, but I'm talking about the privileged ones which are not equipped with the internet or the computer or the smartphone. And it's a fact. It's not something. It's like Slovenia is a developed country, and we would have many kids having serious troubles when we closed schools for such a long time. So, better firms would buy another computer to mom or dad so that they would take it home, and then they would have it also for their children. But you would have also, people who don't have such kind of a, person or a firm they work for who would also take care for their kids, and they are not able to buy for the kids a computer, and they need the computer for their work at home. So yeah, that's this inequality we are talking about, not just the quality of information and the contact you get, because you get a lot of data and it's really interesting, and the whole lockdown is not a problem, but you are all the time aware that's not the same.
Yes.
So yeah,
yes.
we would do all these kind of techniques, and we spend a lot of time and also a lot of money to do it. So because we want to have like informed results, and we want to have this response of people, we want to have this interaction, because our main goal is actually this building of common knowledge and reaction. But again, we are very well aware that it's a very I would say we have to tackle it really seriously, because it's the differences are growing, and social differences are growing, and economical differences are growing. So it's a gap we are having here. It's not just a problem what kind of information we are gathering this way, because you have a certain population that is wanting to react this way, but it's also the question about who is left out. And you don't want to leave them out, because the main goal of social development is we don't want to leave out anybody. So anyhow, we would go on the field, and we would, look the man-to-man, woman-to-woman contact. We think it's most important. That's why we really work a lot on the street. We really work a lot with urban walks, talks, all kinds of tools which are actually really person to person, not over the technique.
Yes. Yes, I understand. And I'm turning now to Annekatrin, because I remember from the video, we had also this impression in your video that you were also nurturing these social contacts with inclusiveness. Also, this is something which was coming out of this video. And I wanted to ask you two questions, actually, Annekatrin. First, we are still in our part of the discussion to finish the bridging between culture and city and sustainability. And to finish this block, I wanted to ask you two questions. So the first one would be, are there contact and cooperation between different responsible institutions in your city? So within the system, which bridging, which connection? And outside the system, do you think that the model that you have in Augsburg would be something which would be transferable, like a template maybe to other cities? So two parts of the question. And I know we're running out of time very soon, so let's bring it to the point. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to answer for the first question. Yes, we have contact, and this is what we are. What is the most important thing we have, and cooperation and participation are our guiding principles. So we have this ongoing processes. With the local agenda 21 and also our advisory council for sustainability here in Augsburg. The local agenda 21, you've seen them in the little video. This is a network with 29 members at the moment. They are all coming from civil society. They do voluntary work in their free time just to have a better and sustainable future. They are working in the fields of urban gardening. It's a bit similar with what Maja said. They are working in community-oriented economy, plastic-free Augsburg. They are working against poverty, less traffic in town, and all those things. So they are really, really, really active and engaged people. There are, of course, representatives from the cultural scene too. They are working for culture vision in Augsburg, and they are working for improving sponsorship for culture agents. This is one output out of the pandemic. They need more support in time of crisis, absolutely. So we meet once a month, and we get ourselves updated. So we can update them on what is going on in city politics and on the administration level, and they can tell us what's the problem, what kind of projects are they planning, where can we help, and so on. So this is a very lively process, and it's so important for us that we have all those people working for a more sustainable society. On the other hand, we have this advisory council for sustainability. Is a more institutional one. There we have institution represented from the town, universities, we have university, church, also culture, and so on. They are really close, linked to our, no, it's the word is missing, our city council, and they can make recommendations. Latest one was in July. We were discussing about the divestment strategy for Augsburg, how to invest money and so on. And they were organizing and arguing and discussing about a recommendation to the city hall. So this is also a very important process. We meet, I think, 3 or 4 times a year. They take also the concept of our guidelines in their institutions. And so we have always the dialogue on the basis, on the grounds of our concept. And yes, of course, it is absolutely transferable. I would say, yes, but you have to make it your own. You can't take our principles and put them into Berlin and they would say, what are they doing in Augsburg? We need this, 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 and this we can delete. I don't know. But it's really, really important that you discuss it for your own and with your people, and because they are all experts in your town, and it's so important to listen to them. And then you make your own guidelines, and it would be very interesting for us to see other guidelines in other towns.
Yes, absolutely. No, I understand. But I think it's interesting. How can we learn from others? How can we take and adapt? We do not have to reinvent everything. This is also sustainability, so to speak, recycle and see what the others are doing, what is working well, right? So I would like to move now to the very last part and just ask you a very short question to finish, because I want to give also, to the audience the opportunity to ask questions if they like to. If I don't see anything in the chat, I'm going on, as you know, all of you. So my question now for this last round about post-pandemic sustainability, because we see there is this opportunity now for the arts, for the cultural sectors, for the cities to redefine stuff to do and redefine measures and invent measures also to move forward to get better in terms of green sustainability, climate sustainability, but also in terms of social sustainability, inclusiveness and communication between people. So my question is, with your very own perspective as architects, cultural institutions, city, etc., what would be your request to these other participants in this deal? So Maja, what would you ask a city for, or cultural institutions for? Or for you, Agnieszka, what would you ask, if you can, in the cities for? Same for you, Liliana, you and Catherine, from your city's perspective, what would you ask to your cultural partners or the ones in charge of, what would you ask for? What would be your strong request to make sure that we go in a post-pandemic, better, sustainable time zone, so to speak, right? Who wants to take that first? Agnieszka, yes, you go.
Okay, so as I truly believe in those little changes invoked by the artists who use their special languages, who use special perspectives, who are capable of finding, weak moments, chances, challenges in those seemingly perfect parts of reality. I would really claim to include in more direct, active way artists into policy making. I have a great example from Finland where they have the institution of the so-called regional artists who represent all the areas. So you might have, you know, in the northern of Finland, like, you know, regional bioartist or a regional painter, you know, and these are the let's say those bridges between the society, between the field, the special cultural field, and policymakers. In Wrocław, it was possible just last year, or was it this year maybe, in beginning, to create this advisory board for the municipal cultural division, consisting of cultural activists, artists, and so on. But this advisory board, you know, it has only one voice when it comes to making decisions for big issues related to culture in the city. So it still shows a kind of inequality in including these most important actors who are artists, as I believe.
In policymaking, absolutely. Thank
Exactly.
you, Agnieszka. Who would like to be the second one? Maya, you go.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I was listening very carefully to Agnieszka, to, you know, not to our lab and so on, but yeah, I would say that having in mind what is happening in Ljubljana right now, not just the pandemic time, but right now moment, like what is going on in the theaters, in the museums, in, you know, art galleries and on the streets. You should know that we have like street riots every Friday on bikes for 74 Fridays going on already. 74 Fridays on, you know, on and on every Friday. So what I'm thinking of is, what I would request is listen to the people, you know, support people who are active and are giving voice and are talking about problems, all sorts of problems, and involve them in policymaking and actions. And I'm talking about people as society, and I'm talking about creative sector, which is leading in this, what's going on in last year. They are leading in how they are actually, you know, being hindered by an epidemic and being really in a very difficult economical situation and in a crisis, because it's like really, you know, it's critical with so many people in these precarious economical situations, and in a year and a half going on without, you know, having any kind of theater shows and so on, it's really difficult. But on the other side, they are really on the streets, they are talking about the right themes, they are bringing together people, and they are opening this public discourse, and this is really important. And what we need is, we need the policymakers on a city level or on a national level as well to listen to them and to support them and to involve them. That would be my.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you. So now, Liliana, do you want to take it, or do I leave the last word to the cities?
Yes, I can.
You go. Yes.
Normally, I think that this is such an urgent situation that we need to be calm to address it. Otherwise, I think this is something that I would advise somehow, or I would like to ask to, because otherwise we will find ourselves in these situations where we want to be sustainable. We want to have sustainability, but we know that we will need lots of energy. So we need to go to the nuclear, as you said. We are so used to this adrenaline drive that it seems to me that this break and that we had with pandemics, that everyone was thinking that perhaps something can change. What I'm seeing now, it's not that. We go and we drive and we go very fast. So I think that we will advise, first of all, this. It's so urgent that we need to calm and to step down a little bit. Perhaps and listen to the people. I think it's very important, but also decide. I think policymakers, they need, because sometimes people, they really also want, they don't want I'm giving an example that I know here where there is a group of people who want to renaturalize a river, but a lot of people don't want this because they know other things. But perhaps policymakers, they need also really to decide in which world they want to live and which world they did. So it's not only listen, but also to inform themselves a lot. About new techniques, new ways of doing news. So I'll be there.
Okay. Thank you, Liliana. So, Annekatrin, now you have the last word on that one.
I can just totally agree with everything you said. I don't have really much to add. I'm really happy what you are doing, so I don't have to require something else. But I think what would be very important is that the city is not only the administration level or politics. We are the city, and you have to reclaim this by your own. And then you can just say, oh, it's not good, they decided a bad thing and they are doing whatever. But you can say, I can make it by my own. So this is really useful to think it's me, the city, the town hall, it's me too.
Oh, this is so wonderful. I cannot even top this end. This is great. We are the city. I am the city. We're all the city. We need this space to breathe. We need this space to breathe in the future. We need the space to breathe today to make it happen. I think this is actually what we can put together after all the great input you've been saying here. I see that we have no question in the chat, which allows us to stay on this wonderful ending. Thank you so much, Liliana, Agnieszka, Annekatrin, Maja. Wonderful. Thank you also to the team of the Gehre-Horváth Foundation who have been doing this together. Thank you to my team, Anna, who was here in the chat today and has been prepping all this with me. Thank you to Julia who invited us, and thank you to all the translators who have been there. Today we had none except Lucas, so thank you, Lucas. And Paul, the technique, thank you very much for the videos. Thank you to everybody. And all the 3 discussions were recorded, as you know, that's why we try to look good. And these videos will be soon presented on the website of Gehre-Horváth and on the channels of Gehre-Horváth Foundation, which is the foundation's YouTube channel, essentially. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let us keep in touch and bridge it further, I would say. See you soon, I hope, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.